You're watching the Sensephere channel, and now some chilled discussion after the week's angst, with the Doctor Who Detox Hour, or two.
God, they are noisy blooming devils. Look, explain the thumbnail today, explain everything today, because I've been streaming, I don't know how often, but the truth is this: there are a few worrying signs that the stars are starting to align. I feel like, is it Organon in Creature from the Pit? We might try to detoxify as much as we can each week, but the brand of Doctor Who is certainly in flux, and not narratively this time. We will do our best to lift the spirits and do distraction technique. That's the therapy, isn't it? But as you always know, with the Detox Hour, we end up failing miserably as the wash of woeful news wallows in. Does that work? Now, if you are new to us, welcome. Do sign up. Give us a like and subscribe, or just spread the word. New channel, we're trying our best. And don't spread the word saying, doesn't he look tired? Cheeky. We're very sociable on here. No echo chamber on here. X and Gmail are the best places to contact me. And I do get back suggestions, topics, all that sort of stuff. Anyway, let's get firing on, because we've got friends to come on and we've got plenty to talk about. So, this is me. And let's get on. Let's have a look. He's Cybermat Strikes. He's the puppet's friend. How are you?
Gang.
Well, do you want the puppets on? That's how we started talking, wasn't it? How your love of the puppets?
Oh yeah, love the puppets. Yeah, bring them on.
You like all the P's, puppets and Peladon.
Yep. Yep. More puppets, the better.
Yeah. Well, I think the puppets will have to do a parody in Peladon. That'll really do it for you.
I've had a good week. The actually after last, well, actually I should say this for ups and downs, but
all right, okay,
yeah,
okay, ups and downs in the moment. He knows his segments now. So the triumvirates, the troika, are now complete, because there's Dwayne in Tassie. From Sirens of Audio.
G'day, sorry, I was just touching grass. You've disturbed me.
Oh gosh,
I'll get back to that later.
Oh yeah. Oh gosh. You see, you get the feel now. Here we go. If it's Peladon, he's touching grass. If it's, we'll find out what's getting Dwayne going. Anyway, let's get cheering up anyway straight away before we do get into the ups and downs of the week. Yeah, I need to cheer up. We are the detoxers after all. I mean, I thought it's cold, it's stormy outside in Britain, and I thought, you know what? When you think of cold and all the rest of it, a bit of cold metal, but bit of Cybermen action at the bus stop. Cyberman getting ready to invade St. Paul's Cathedral. Oh, look at that. Just what you want. I mean, which is your preference?
Cyberman doing a salute there. He's doing an Elon.
Well, is there a bus coming? I mean, that's the thing. He's been waiting for that bus a while. I mean, will he pay? So what's your preference on the Cybermen? Which is your best design for you?
For me,
I have an appreciation for this. I like this head unit.
Yes, I do. The Revenge of the... I always call it the Revenge of the Cybermen, but it's Invasion as well, isn't it? But yeah. What about you, Joanne?
I have a partiality to the Wheel in Space Cybermen. I think they're one of the creepiest ones out there.
Yeah.
With the teardrops.
That's it. Very sad.
Well, I think Dwayne is definitely fired up, saying he's touching grass, and so I think we better get on with this. The ups and downs of the week. Here we go. Okay, then, Dwayne, it sounds like you want to get something off your chest. Anything by any chance we can help with?
No, it's not too bad. This touching grass business is working quite well while I'm not on the
Oh,
detox hour. However, I have enjoyed your streams through the week since we were last on. I liked your what was your woke stream called with
oh,
Rachel?
that was the
The week that was
woke.
woke. I think,
Yes.
yeah, I think that was really good. I enjoyed that, and
Oh, thank you.
I've enjoyed Philip Morris being on too, and getting his thoughts on what's going on these days too.
Cool. Well, thank you. I mean, I didn't ask for that, but Philip Morris he gave us his money's worth. He was on last Sunday's show, but I've uploaded an edited package for late Sunday night for those who may have missed it. And my God, when you just get him for 15 minutes, and it's 15 minutes of edited RTD, Davros, War Games, bang, 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 rent a quote. They used to call some MPs rent a quote, and it was brilliant. No, he was well worth it. Thanks for that anyway. But yeah, I even did
But apart from that,
yeah.
apart from that, I was listening to a BBC audio of Mike Tucker's audio original called House of Plastic, which is taking the title from House of Wax. It's an Auton story that was released a couple of weeks ago, and it only goes for about 75 minutes, so one CD's length, and a really, really good Seventh Doctor and Ace story featuring the Autons. I love me some Autons,
Yeah.
and it was done really well. There's some nice political commentary in there within the story without it getting shoved down my throat. I loved it.
Oh, well, cool. I mean, our Sunday show at 6 is Terror of the Autons. So, that's for just a link with the Autons. So what are you thinking, Dan? Ups and downs?
Well, funnily enough, after last week's detox, we were talking about Terror of the Autons. I actually made a point of going and turning the special effects on that I think I must have missed first time around. But man, they were beautiful. Actually, I think they're some of the best special effects additions on any of the special editions. To be honest, I thought that was
I agree.
Really classy what they did to the Autons at the end in the radio telescope. I thought that was really, really clever.
Yeah. It's one of those. I like certain effects, and then I'm thinking, no, but that for every special effect they do on Blu-ray, that means you have to allow the War Games to be done.
I think what it highlights to me is what most of us felt about the original Doctor Who is that it didn't, like, by modern standards, it wasn't that far off if it just had that little bit more technology or money to be spent on it to bring it to close the gap on the actual visual effects. But by today's standards, it's like there's that feeling of, well, why do we need to spend millions and millions and billions of dollars to get good Doctor Who? It doesn't really need the money.
No. And it's something that Philip Morris kept saying, actually. He kept going back to story and character. So on ups and downs of the week, I mean, I'll remind you of some things you may have missed. I mean, did you see good old... is this an up or down that, we've got the star that everybody wants, apparently, according to RTD. Ncuti Gatwa is popular property. That's him in the importance of being earnest PR. I'm not quite sure on the left what he's doing there. It looks as though he's... so, yeah. Are we feeling lucky that Ncuti Gatwa is part of the Doctor Who universe? We've got him just before everybody else grabs him.
So lucky. I mean, just look at those pictures. Why wouldn't we be? Honestly.
Yeah, I mean, he's...
I'm just spent the week trying to figure out if I should cancel my Disney subscription again and trying to work out when is this new series coming, because the only reason I'm hanging on to it is in case they say we're kicking off next month.
I know. I think it was probably about March, I'm guessing. He did say sooner, didn't he? So I can feel...
Look at all that grass out the back. I just want to touch it.
Yeah, I've got photographs of him touching grass as well, so he applies what he's saying there. But
Oh, very good.
I was saying on the other day that that picture on the left, the thing that people didn't realize, and I have to point it out in Joy to the World, I do think everybody missed the point why he wanted to stay an extra year. It wasn't for Anita. You all think it was Anita. But remember, when you see Joy walk into the Sandringham Hotel, on the left is a gay nightclub. Yeah, you screenshot it
Okay.
there. As she walks in, you see the Sandringham Hotel, and then there's the rainbow flag, and it's a nightclub. I think that year was him, hello, doing a bit of what's on the left there. I don't know.
I will be screenshotting that. Don't worry.
I gave that episode a rewatch, and to be honest, it gets worse the more I watch it. To be honest,
That's why I
Yes.
won't, because
Well,
I don't want that experience.
yeah.
Well, we may be talking about that, but I
Yeah.
think, on the ups and downs of the week, I'll come to the thread in a minute. What do you think are your ups and downs of the week? I'm just trying to kind of remind the lads here. Did you know it's been nominated for Outstanding Drama, Doctor Who?
No, I didn't know.
Sign of the times.
It by the GLADs, which is the gay and lesbian.
Oh no, Star Trek Discovery's been nominated there. Oh my god.
The gay and lesbian was it against defamation and all the rest of it. So basically it's trying to get rid of negative representation of gay and lesbian. So it's down as Outstanding Drama. And I'm thinking, well, number one, Doctor Who's not supposed to be a gay character. Number one. Is it because they've had a trans character in it, Rose? Is it because they had a Jinx Monsoon in it? Is it outstanding? You remember, come on, the adjective outstanding to me, I have a problem with. Plus, I do watch 911 Lone Star, basically because there's some nice totty in there. However, the trouble is, we laugh at it because the plots are so stupid. So basically, outstanding dramas and Star Trek Discovery, as you said, Dan, I mean, it's not a list, is it, really?
I think it was must have all been Trevor. That must have been what got him over the line. Good old Trevor from Joy to the World.
Oh yeah, he was so loving to him.
Along with Star Trek Discovery, that cancelled show. Got it.
Yeah, all outstanding dramas, didn't you know?
Yeah.
Look, I'm all for representation.
Heartbreak High, is that a remake?
Yeah, is that the Aussie show?
God, they're rehashing a lot of stuff.
Is it Aussie? Heartbreak High? Is that Aussie show?
Used to be. That's the original one. Yeah, the old.
Oh, it's a remake.
I don't know if that's. I don't know. Maybe they're trying to contemporize.
So there you go. Is that good news or bad news? I can see Crimpling going. Is the Outstanding Drama Award for what's going on behind the scenes? There's certainly lots of drama. We might get into a bit of that. There seems to be rumour and gossip and everything. But there you go, lads. You've missed that point. You could have called that out and said how wonderful and how pleased you are that we've got Shooty Gatwa that everybody wants, apparently, and it's an outstanding drama. I would have preferred this nomination, which is that Wallace and Gromit, who, as you know, were beside us on Christmas Day, have been nominated for an Oscar. I think that's an award. I do. That's a bit different, isn't it?
Yeah, it's got a bit more
around.
It's got a bit more behind it, that one.
Yeah, but the other thing is the GLADs. I mean, I'm not an expert on them, but when you see that they don't want negative representation, blah blah blah. But I will always say I'm Sight Rogue. That is to me that's a negative representation of a gay man because he forgot his companion, couldn't give a toss, lusted after somebody. I mean, how is that a positive representation? So I'm sorry, I disagree with the word outstanding. And where was the outstanding? Right. If it wasn't about gay and lesbian, from those 8 episodes, where was the outstanding drama in Doctor Who?
There was Bonnie Langford. There you go.
There you go. And was it outstanding drama when he punched the wall with anger? Oh, or when he shouted in Dot and Bubble at the end, because everybody is supposed to say that's the most amazing bit of acting ever. That, whoa, you're a nasty white supremacist, so I'm going to give you a planet and reward you. I didn't quite get that bit. So there you go. So sorry, lads, I'm calling you out. You should have mentioned those things.
I don't know about you, but I've enjoyed all the cope around, people trying to explain why these standout shows were able to just like have double the audience figures, but Doctor Who's doing really well. It's
Yeah.
just
Well, it's a good point, because Wallace and Gromit and Gavin and Stacey in Britain are now well over 20 million accumulated views. That's not the case for Doctor
Wow.
Who. Now here is this good news. A leaked Disney 2025 graphic has confirmed the war between the land and the sea will premiere this year. Go to the middle column at the bottom and you'll see the graphic. The war between the land and the sea. Is that good news for the Thread and you lads? We're going to get some Sea Devil action this year.
Fantastic news. The sooner it's over, the better.
Still don't know why it's not in the main show.
Well, the thing is, are they rushing it through? Are they rushing it through because of the mooted discussion about whether Disney and BBC are not exactly on talking terms anymore? Let's get the contract complete. Let's get those 5 episodes out. Let's get season 2. He said season 2's coming earlier than we thought. That would complete the package almost, won't it, for their deal with Disney? And then they can get on with whatever new contractual arrangements.
Is there a Christmas episode for 2025?
Yeah, I think so.
There is. So that's probably the last. That could potentially be the last one.
I think so. I think
the last Disney one. Last Disney one.
Yeah.
And until the BBC go back to making it.
Well, so you see, I'm trying Thread. You see what I'm doing? This is. Can you feel the excitement from these two lads? It's really palpable. What about this then? We're getting released more and more details for season 2. We're getting writers, directors, some titles. Is there anything that's grabbing your eye, lads, and getting you excited and salivating for the new season?
Those are directors. So Russell's still writing half of the episodes.
Yeah.
So that can't be a good thing. Pete McTighe, I'll be interested to see that episode, if nothing else, because I think he might be. I think he writes some good. Well, he writes good trailers for the Blu-rays.
Yes,
let's see if that translates into a full episode.
Yeah.
I'm starting to have a picture of Russell T Davies like David Williams in Little Britain. Write the theme tune, sing the theme. He's just doing every position on the production team.
Actually, now that you mentioned that, I was watching Little Britain the other day. I don't think they'd be very popular these days in this current political climate.
Oh, in this current,
some of the things they used to say.
Trigger warning.
Well, they were saying that they were apparently going to be making some new stuff, but this time they're going to be politically correct or something. And I thought, well, no one's going to want to see that.
Yeah, well, that's the opposite of what Little Britain is.
Well, on this list, I mean, obviously we're getting new writers and everything. So season 2, episode 5, the Nigerian poet and playwright. There is a mooted episode where it's more an episode with a cast, ethnic cast, I think is the best way of putting it tastefully, which is a nice counterbalance, you could argue, with Dot and Bubble, which was deliberately all white. So, of course, maybe there's he's got something there. Maybe it's 5 Miles Deep. I wonder if 5 Miles Deep is going to be the link up with the spin-off that then follows. Like it's mooted that there's some link up between the season and the spin-off. Okay. So 5 Miles Deep sounds like a sitter, doesn't it? For that.
Yep.
I'm trying my best.
That way.
Robot Revolution. I mean, I love my Robots of Death. Robot Revolution sounds tasty.
Yeah, I'm still remembering the last episode
set on Caldor City.
Yeah, I know. The Robot Revolution sounds a bit tastier than Space Babies, doesn't it? I mean, that's the only thing I can say there. But so there you go. Looks.
It's still quite Disney.
Yeah, I know. The Control Room, is that the Dalek one? Is that the Celestial Toy Makers back in a kind of control? Because I assume they're going to have to wrap up the gods eventually. And I would have thought you get the Toy Maker back somehow. He gets out that box with the gold tooth of the master, So I'm trying.
Black Guardian.
Oh God, Can you say that now? What about
Guardian of Chaos? There you go.
Is anyone still getting the Doctor Who magazine? Are you excited for this? Something old, something new, something red, something blue. Looks as though they're trying to say there's a bit of everything in there, but without telling us what's in there. That's not much I can say. I'm trying my best, lads. Trying my best. Mad Mackham is obviously, if the Robot Revolution is Robots of Death follow-up, and RTD Rex or Rick, yeah, well, I don't want that. I just said Robots of Death. If I like that, I should like a robot one, but yeah, I'm that's so half-hearted for me, isn't it? Really.
What if he brings back the War Chief?
Oh, don't
Master?
start. Honestly,
Oh yeah, the control room. Oh no, I think you might be onto something there.
Oh,
different zones,
mind you, and that is the thing. Right, okay, we're gonna have to go big screen for this, Dan. You've really got right. Okay, Dan, I knew he'd do this. Right, where's my button? Here we go. That's your fault, Dan. Yeah, why are you doing this to me? So, yes. You know, some people are wondering why did they add that scene to try and make it look like the War Chief is the master? Because of course there's a master plan to maybe have him in later on. Really? Are you going?
Yeah. Well, they just took the opportunity to canonize it. That's all on screen.
Yeah.
Once you've seen it, you can't unsee it, can you?
Oh. Crimpling, hello, calm it down. Maybe the control room is set entirely inside the TARDIS to help balance the books for how much was spent on the set. Oh my God. Let's have an episode where you decorate that bland set. They all go on skateboards up and down ramps. I mean, God, it sounds really exciting, this. Maybe they're doing musical. Starlight Express. They're all on roller skates going up and down the ramps in the TARDIS because he does like his musicals. There you go. Got it.
Maybe they'll bring back Sutek.
Oh, do you know what? Why would you want a dog? Why would you want a dog in it? I mean, that dog is evaporated now. Death. What was it? Death to death brings life. Do biology.
Death plus
Look,
death
I was
equals
happy.
life.
I was happy not having. Oh God, that was so bad.
Well, Crimpling's up for it.
And throw a spoon in.
The ramps are for when Shooty turns the TARDIS into a roller disco. He's got a jukebox. He's got roller skates. He has that little. Remember, he got a sledgehammer out of some trapdoor, just like you do. He keeps a circus sledgehammer. So maybe he does have roller skates. He puts a jukebox on, and it's a bit like when you used to go roller skating, ice skating with your mates, and they're playing music. Maybe that's it.
It still does my head in that they were running around with the CRT screen cut with the back cut off it, watching episodes of Pyramids of Mars. It's like, that's
well,
so bad.
I'm going to try and keep ups and downs. I've enjoyed these. I had some on the other day on my Bigenerates of the Sensorites, but Tinted Who, bless him, brilliant. He's. I think he is involved with the colorization, but he's kind of keeps showing us some lovely colorized shots. So here we go. This is my attempt to detox us for a few moments, everybody. I mean, do you think it's worth bringing, say, the Yeti back for a story? Because, you know, is it worth doing something like that? Because they do look so, I say, appealing, you know, nostalgic.
They look they probably look too cuddly. Yeah. Yetis are the sort of things that if you see sparingly, they work. I think, you know, I think what they did in Five Doctors was the best way to show a Yeti, which is, you know, not much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just a claw and yeah. And you hear it, you don't really see it.
I'm just picking up on what Joe Chapman's saying here. Honestly, do a clip, say 30 seconds of Capaldi mid-speech, then Shooty 30 seconds. It's so far removed, it's almost devastating. Joe and the lads, do you know, I did a two-hander recording that'll be shown soon for everybody about Doctor Who and mental health, its treatment of it over the 61 years with my friend Hugh. And we watched Vincent and the Doctor as well. Oh my God. I mean, that's 2010 and we're now 2025 and the standard it's so dropped since then. The writing, of course, Richard Curtis. I thought the footage and the shots and the acting and the music, and I thought, and it was an emotional episode. I mean, there's emotion, but without any kind of lectures. And it was a complex subject. And you just think, oh my God, that's 15 years ago. Doctor Who's gone downhill. So Joe Chapman, I'm sorry, I'm calling out. Put Vincent and the Doctor on, and then watch something now from last season. Oh my God. And that's with Disney money. Like,
do you know, I did something similar recently. I was going through series 9 with my kids. We're still on series 10 at the moment, but when we got to series 9, I watched Sleep No More, and I remember when I first watched that, I didn't like it, but after watching the last 5 or 6 years of TV Who, going back to Sleep No More, it's a masterpiece compared to what we've had. It's incredible.
Yeah,
that was a subpar episode for
it's
its
true.
time, and now it's way above.
I said to a lot of people, go back and rewatch Capaldi, because, you know, I remember at the time, you know, thinking, this wasn't as strong as I hoped for, or whatever. And you go back and watch them by today's standards, and you think, no, they're all masterpieces in comparison.
Or it wasn't a real shocker. It was a beautiful episode. I know you couldn't do Doctor Who like that every week, but as a one-off with a particular story, and that was timey-wimey. You actually saw a historical character. Fantastic. And, you know, I was gutted because I thought I had looked forward to RTD coming back, and he normally piles on the emotion, but Richard Curtis, outstanding.
It was like, and you know, and I appreciate, last year my family was dealing with suicide in the family, and I have a even greater appreciation for it now, having sort of experienced it firsthand. Just the fact that sense of you know, inevitability, that you can't, you know, no matter what, there's kind of an inevitability to what was going to happen. And, you know, even knowing what happens, you may not be able to change it, which is kind of comforting, if that makes sense.
I have to say, it was Hugh who asked me to do a particular discussion about the treatment of mental health in Doctor Who, the representation of it, from madness to lunacy to crazed to PTSD, the whole realm. So you've got the patient in the Silurians drawing, but he actually had seen something. He wasn't mad. Then you've got, Tommy in Planet of the Spiders, Vincent, the whole thing. It's a discussion. I'll put it out there soon, everybody. And Hugh did actually, good for him. He wanted us to do that, to actually discuss the awkward things that you're saying, Dan, and to discuss that sometimes you can't help somebody. You can hold their hand, you can be there, but you can't alter their mindset. This is the problem. It's hard. And Vincent and the Doctor actually acknowledges that. In fact, it's gut-wrenching, really, when you watch it.
The other thing is, go back and, well, I challenge people to go back and watch Matt Smith in that episode, because he's sitting there the whole way along. There's this, you get a sense of foreboding from him that's not immediately obvious, but when you go back and rewatch it, he kind of knows what's going to happen, but Amy doesn't see it coming. And it's such a strong performance when you sort of look back at it.
And all the way through, just like Sarah was lovely to Tommy in Planet of the Spiders, the companion, Amelia Pond, was really nice to Vincent, and showed, and kindness is mentioned. And anyway, so it's relevant because I happened to see it, just like you said, Dwayne, as you're taking your kids through some of the older ones, and you think, God, the quality. I just like even the shots. I mean, we expected with a Disney budget that you could do some amazing things. And I'm not knocking the production values of season 1 at all. But you realize that there were always decent production values actually going back for a fair few years.
I love the final scenes of Vincent and the Doctor too, where they take Vincent back, and Bill Nye's there talking, and the overhearing Bill Nye talk about how wonderful he is. What a beautiful gift to give Vincent. It was yeah, it always brings me to tears, that episode. Always.
Absolutely. And that is the one thing that is so Doctor Who-y about it, that is, well, if you had a time machine, what would
Yeah.
you do with it? And just that sense of, because you do, for the people left behind, you have that sense of, what if I could just show them that they really were appreciated? Maybe if I had just told them or
Yeah.
It's a
done
great
something,
message.
what
Yeah.
Amy's trying to do is exactly what you do. And, you can tell that, Richard Curtis is writing that from a position of experience himself.
Yeah,
But,
Yeah.
yeah, amazing.
it is, because and I was saying to Hugh, I was gutted because, having been a teacher who did assemblies and everything, the dialogue at the end of Vincent and the Doctor is I could have used it, because Amy Pond is gutted, and the Doctor says, "Look, we give Vincent another good thing. Life is full of good things and bad things. We give him another good moment. That's all you can do." And so, as you said, Dwayne, taking him, breaking the Time Lord rule and taking him to the future to see how people appreciated him was just a beautiful conceit. And yes, it doesn't change the fact that, what happened to him, but he was given another nice moment. And I thought that was beautiful. That was, and that's Doctor Who, folks, isn't it? Isn't that why we watch it? Timey-wimey,
Yep.
historical figures, a bit of dramatic conceit. There was a monster in it. Yeah.
And yet you could argue that it also sets up the premise of the Big Bang with the TARDIS explosion.
Yeah.
Because that all played. He weaves. This is where Moffat was at his strength. He was weaving all that together.
Yes. I can see what you're saying. So there you go. That we went on a tangent there, which was lovely. It's a lovely chat I had, and Hugh has some really lovely, insightful things to say. But here's the Seeds of Death. I mean, Seeds of Death is one of my little secret favorite ones.
That's beautiful.
I know.
That's not the color I visualize when I see it in black and white. So
no, I know.
It's totally different. Less green
Yes.
than I imagine. Everything, every piece of artwork or video cover or anything is always so full of green. It's unusual to see grey and red in the shot there.
Well, there's a bit of green for you then.
There you go.
Yeah, bit of yellow, green, and blue. But yes,
it really does change the viewing experience. So I think it's amazing.
Oh, I do. We've had this discussion many times, and it'll probably continue because that's what fans are like. But I do love the colorized element of the 60s because I think it lifts them, and they look lovely. And actually, it's a bit like you're revisiting. You're seeing them in a different way, so it's well worth it. Oh God, I mean, Seeds of Death is fine. The drummer was having a mad. I remember with the Seed of Death is the drums a lot, but
the timpani.
So you're saying you'd like to see that one colorized with a new score?
No,
sounds like
no. You can't quote me. Just leave it the same. I can cope with the drummer. He's not as mad as the drum in the Muppets.
I want to see Tomb of the Cybermen colorized, but that is one that I will be super pissed off if they edit that one, because that's, to me, that's the archetypal setup for the traditional four-parter that you get a lot more later outside of the 60s. For its time, I think I look at Tomb as ahead of its time in terms of the format.
Yeah.
Could I ask a question, Bate? That's a bit of a tangent, but we're talking about...
No, the cyber controller is not the master.
Doing edits. Like, they released Tales of the TARDIS and edited a lot of that out and cut a good, 20 minutes out of it. Why? Why did they do that? There was no, there are reasons for the Daleks and War Games, whether we agree with them or not, but there didn't seem to be any reason for the cuts in Pyramids of Mars. It baffles me, that one. Because none of the other Tales of the TARDIS were cut. They were just omnibus versions, whereas Pyramids was cut. Not sure why.
I'll have to have another look.
Maybe they really thought that it was going to get a different target audience. I don't know. It wasn't that big a cut, other than that last episode bit where they're actually playing around on Mars from memory.
I think there's
but it was still about 20 minutes worth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, it was mostly part 4. I remember now. I apologize. God, we've had so many chats and streams and everything. Yes, part 4 was the one that was gutted, wasn't it? Most of part 4 was gone. Now, so there's the Seeds of Death. I'm still on kind of the ups and downs of the week, I suppose. There's a beautiful shot I saw yesterday of Annika in the 10th planet. Absolutely striking photograph, actually. But it brought to mind that she's had to tweet this week, hasn't she?
Yeah, I saw that retraction.
Yeah. Annika has heard on the grapevine that there are rumours that she said that Doctor Who The Smugglers was being animated. Annika says that is not what she said. The Smugglers is her favourite story and she hopes it will be animated, but has no idea if it will be. So don't believe everything you read on the internet. Oh, bless. But anyway, give me a good excuse to show you a lovely shot of Annika. And she's good value when you meet her as well. She's good. So yes,
it was announced about 18 months ago that the Smugglers was going to be. Well, didn't the Smugglers appear on somewhere on a streaming channel somewhere, maybe in the US or something?
Oh, okay.
And so didn't that happen about 18 months ago? Don't recall.
I'm getting mixed up. What's going on? Do you know what made me think of though, Dwayne and Dan? Have you heard it's not a rumor, it's a fact, but it's just I can't find a slide to show it off. That Peter Purvis was on a stage with a few other Doctor Who actors in recent times, a week or so back, and he asked the audience, "Are you enjoying New Who?" And they all shouted no. And I know. And that was I thought, whoa, gosh.
Well, Stephen won't be coming back anytime soon then.
I think if you could get everybody in the pub and they knew that you would never say you have a source, I'd love to know what everyone truly thought of what's going on. People would like to come back, I'm sure. It'd be nice, like Janet Fielding coming back in Power of the Doctor, Bonnie Lanford coming back. I understand that. But I'd be fascinated what they truly think about what is actually really going on. Right. Okay. I have dabbled around enough. You think I'm dabbling? Yeah. The big news, I did say the stars are starting to align. I mean, how can the deniers keep denying? I'm sorry, but did you see this, lads? I'm sure you did. Some streamers, I think, just sleep and go straight onto Joy to the World's Appreciation Index was 76. In other words, it's down there like space babies. And this is
feels right to me.
Gary Lee has made that poster, so thank you, because you've saved me a bit of time. So Joy to the World got 76. But can I just also tell you that the War Games in colour got 83? So what does that tell us? Does that tell us that Classic Who trumps New Who? Or does it tell us, well, hold on, Brendan, you didn't like everything in the War Games in colour. Is the omnibus startling? What do you reckon, lads? Is there any conclusion we can make to Troughton's last story got 83 appreciation index, which takes it up there with Wild Blue Yonder and the specials. Joy to the World is down there with Space Babies.
I've got to say, the War Games in colour for me, I copped it before Christmas, and to be honest, that was the best thing about Doctor Who at Christmas for me. I got so much more out of the War Games in colour than
me too.
I did out of Joy to the World.
Yeah. Look, take away all the bits and bobs that you like or you don't like regarding what they've changed with War Games, but it felt like it was a proper Doctor Who story, adventure. A doctor I recognise, and I'm not being sarky there, but he was the Doctor. And I don't know. I if you like sci-fi, it's a nice little dramatic conceit to have, little time zones or war zones. It's been done by Enlightenment. It's been done in the Five Doctors. It's been done in Carnival of Monsters, where you have the, just have fun with it.
I'm glad they canonized Troughton into Pertwee, because that's been a stink ever since the Fugitive Doctor came along.
I mean, what do you reckon, Dwayne? On what could you honestly, as a program maker, what could you conclude from that? Because Joy to the World on the surface, Stephen Moffat, it's not RTD this time. Shoot,
Yep.
we did acknowledge that Shooty had a few more Doctor moments in it.
Yeah, I think he did. Yeah,
but
the simple fact is that people, like, we just spent a while on a tangent talking about an episode which was relatively not that long ago. For younger viewers, it probably is a fair while, but for us, it's not that long. Vincent and the Doctor. And in that relatively short period, we've seen the program change a lot. And for those of my age, we have seen the program change amazingly, like an amazing amount, I should say. It's not amazing, but it's, see, people have a taste for, like, more. I've spoken with more and more people who are tending to find that they're so tired of the current era that they're not even watching new era Who from the start anymore. They're going back to classic.
yes,
Classic is where it's at. People are more and more going back to that. And I'm watching people who younger reviewers who are watching the current season and have never really been interested in classic, still may not be interested in classic, but they're getting a bit more and more depressed about the future of this iteration of Doctor Who. So, yeah, I find that probably 9 times out of 10, I'll watch classic Doctor Who. The only reason lately that I haven't been is because, as I said, I'm watching it with my kids, but very, very slowly. We might watch one episode a week or even a fortnight.
But I do find it interesting. You know, like I know there's the kids in our family are getting into vinyl, aren't they? They're going heavily into vinyl. And, you know, oh, we want the Kinks. Oh, we want this. And they're going back to the 60s vinyl. And so if you translate that into Doctor Who terms, if they start to discover 60s Doctor Who or 60s shows, like we said, colorize it, clean it up a bit, let them just enjoy, but don't tinker with it. I don't think you need to, because it's not like they're getting vinyl on the Kinks saying the Kinks vinyl needs to be upgraded or can we just change the lyrics? No, they want the original. They want authentic. And maybe that's what's going on. Anyway, people are now. There's some interesting things in the thread on Annika too. But here's I'm just going to say Mr. Boy 73 or something because I can never say his name. Sorry. You got a lot of classic fans out of the woodwork to watch War Games because it was a curiosity as to what they might do with colouring and the extra scene. Do you know the other fact is it got 370,000, which is half the Daleks in colour. So whether the Daleks in colour has really made us all wary now. But in the thread, we've got
the fact that it's Daleks. Daleks always bump things up.
Yes, that's very true. Now, there's some interesting talk. Bald Eagle. I was at a Who convention on Sunday, and Annika said she'd recently filmed something in Cornwall to do with the smugglers. So there you go. There you go.
That was what the retraction was about.
Yeah. Simon Anthony.
What was the retraction that she did?
Well, she said, she said it's a rumor. I've just put it up. I know nothing, but she should know that Doctor Who fans never shut up. Let's have a look. Matt the Silent, sue Disney for ruining Doctor Who like they ruined Star Wars and Marvel. I hate the fact that our franchise is just wallowing in the one place.
I don't think you can blame Disney for this one. No. I think it's 100% bad wolf and RTD.
Yeah, Disney hasn't said do anything to the War Games in colour, have they? That's all in house. So there you go. I'm gutted by this because on the surface, Joy to the World was one of those. Everyone says, "Oh, you need a frothy Christmas episode," but actually,
you know what? I'm not gutted by it because to me, what we're seeing is when I see these sorts of figures, I think for everyone that says, "Oh, everything's changed," I think no, it hasn't. People have got taste still. People recognize quality, and people show up for quality, and we just need to get back to producing some quality.
When are they going to? You see, you know what I'm going to say next because it's on everybody's mind, which is, well, season 2's already in the can. You know, if Joy to the World hasn't landed, They're trying to tell us the ratings are fine, but the audience appreciation stinks. So
yeah. Just leaning into what Dwayne was saying before about younger fans going back to classic. I don't know about you, but I've been watching a lot of the young fan films that they've been doing, that they've spent, put quite a lot of work into. But when you watch them, they're very much leaning into they feel more classic than New Who, if that makes sense. Which I find really interesting, because those guys clearly grew up on New Who.
Yeah. Which there's hope. There's hope. As I think everybody starts to argue now, not trying to be too disrespectful, but saying RTD, Stephen Moffat, Chris Chibnall, you've had your time. You've had 21 years now. Need
to pass the torch.
It's time for somebody else. And I think the BBC needs to be brave, if they haven't been, and start to make a decision like that. But the other thing is, I was saying, God, it was about 6 months ago in a saloon, that the Doctor Who ratings flop gives Disney powerful bargaining position. But equally, when you saw in the San Diego Comic-Con that Doctor Who RTD was sharing a panel with Star Trek and Alex Kurtzman, I just wondered mischievously whether you can join a few dots a little bit and say, are the BBC and RTD trying to sweat out a decision by Disney for season 3? We can talk to other, streamers. We can talk to other people, Disney. And I've thought for a long time now, with this non-season 3 announcement so far, that Disney and the BBC have been playing a bit of call my bluff with each other, a classic poker game. And I know there's talk, and I know, we've heard streams recently saying that strained relationship, if it's still one, between the Disney and BBC. But I don't know. I think for a while now, we've all known that there's clearly something going on, because there's no announcement, or even if there's going to be one, it's been very delayed. There's trouble at mill, I would reckon, don't you think, Dwayne?
Well, I don't know if I've mentioned it before, but I have heard that, and this is only speculation because I don't know firsthand, I've heard it second and third hand, that Disney, right from very early on, didn't want Ncuti. Ncuti's behavior was a little bit off the charts in the beginning, and they didn't want to be associated with Ncuti. But RTD insisted. He put his foot down. So I think it's all been over Ncuti, this whole thing, and RTD hasn't budged. This is just what I've heard, and it's all over. It's all over that, which kind of makes sense to me, really, based on what I've seen of RTD. How he seems to appear to be about Ncuti, because we're all looking at Ncuti going, where is this talent? I think RTD's got his rose-colored glasses on when it comes to Ncuti. Always has done. Right,
it's hard. It's hard. Yeah, you have to hope that people see that we are being fair. That I'm not talking about the skin color or anything. I'm just talking about the fact that he's had 8 episodes plus a Christmas special plus a bit of the giggle. Now that for Tom Baker would be well into his 2nd season now, when he was so established. Peter Davison, so established by now. John Pertwee would have done, he'd been to the Silurians by now, if it was even episodes. If you really look, Power of the Daleks, Troughton landed it straight away. Unearthly Child, William Hartnell was pretty established by the end of Unearthly Child. It's just blame the writing, blame the showrunner, blame the actor a little bit, but in the end, the Ncuti 15th Doctor has not landed yet.
But you know what's really interesting? When we were talking about Tom Baker the other week, and even John Pertwee, each of those seasons, season 7, season 8, season 9, right through to season 19, 20, each season feels like a completely different iteration of the show when you watch it sort of in sequence, they each have a very different. It's like each year the production team sat down and kind of rebooted the show in some way and said, right, what did we get right? What do we get wrong? Let's lean into something. Let's try something different. And each season then has a different feel, so you feel like you're getting a new show.
I totally agree with that, and I think that's called just being self-evaluate, self-critical. As a teacher, you have to self-criticize every blooming lesson, whether they sat there and behaved. And I just think it's interesting. That's why I've got Joe Chapman's point up here. If BBC had sense, and I am an ex-producer for Nat Geo and Discovery and MTV, amongst others, they would get several whovians in to consult on the future. Whovians like you who care, live and love who. The trouble is, Joe, they'd pick people in the know, like Ian Levine. They'd pick people who say they're in the know. This is, you see, which whovians would they ask? And the other thing, Joe, and what do you think, Dwayne and Dan? They'll say that RTD's a super fan. Chris Chibnall's a super fan. So they don't need to ask us because they're fans. So because fans are already running the show, why do they need to talk to other fans? But of course, we know the truth about that one, because some people, when you're powerful, will never tell you the truth.
I think
it's a tough one because... Sorry, you go, Dan.
No, you go, Dwayne. No.
It's a tough one because they are fans. They're long-term. Chibnall, RTD, Moffat. Maybe not so much Moffat. I mean, he was a fan, but he's extremely vocally critical of Classic Who at times. Whereas the other two aren't. But I think Moffat's got more credibility than RTD anyway. When it comes to writing credit,
he's a stronger writer. Yeah.
Yes, he is a much stronger writer. So yeah, they would consider that they already have Doctor Who fans in there. I'm sure they do. And who would they appoint? You're right. They would appoint people from their circle who are going to be thinking their thoughts.
Yeah.
It's not going to be a broad church, so to speak. So
and look, we didn't set out. None of us have set out to hate on Doctor Who. I didn't start this channel a year ago thinking, I'll start a Doctor Who channel to slag it off. No, I don't like that sort of thing. But as everybody has seen my journey where I've got more cynical as it's gone on, and it's been a disappointment.
I remember watching one stream with you saying, I am now making it my mission to tear this regime down. That's the kind of message I got from that stream.
Yes, I certainly changed, didn't I, Dwayne? There was a point when I just said, listen, why am I being polite? Because they are really wrecking my program. And, I think what happens is, if you go very vocal, like RTD is very vocal about whether you like it or hate it or politics. And I think the more vocal you go, therefore the reaction is also strong. If you had a very quiet, modest showrunner, they do exist, I think you'd have a more respectful response from people, because when you say, people are saying to you, you're not a proper fan of this, we know all the quotes, it gets everybody's backs up. And so I think the strength of his opinions has made us think, well, am I going to sit here quietly here? Because I'm a fan, I'm not stupid, and I don't like what's happening. And I think he's just caused a very, I do want to be polite and respectful, but I've also turned very cynical.
It's hard to know what RTD really thinks, because he's a very good, he's a spin doctor. Because if you go back and look at Doctor Who Confidential from years ago, particularly if you look at the episode on Dalek, he's saying things like the Daleks are an iconic design. You could never possibly change them. They've always got to be like that. And then 20 years later, he's talking about, this is the new Davros. It's how it's going to be. This is what we say. And he's putting that spin on it. So it's hard to know what he actually believes. I don't know. You could easily call his fandom into question, because you're not exactly sure where he stands if you look at both ends of his time period in the show.
Well, and the young RTD had a lot of views that I would say, you're on the money. Like when he said we need to have an optimistic view of the future, and I know he's basically come out and said that a lot of what he said in the Eccleston era about positive view of the future and that everything's going to be okay. He now feels that all of that was misguided and misplaced, and we actually need to scare the shit out of kids and tell them that it's not necessarily going to be all right. And that's a terrible. That's why Discovery is so bleak. Star Trek Discovery is so horrible because it's not Star Trek, because the whole point of Star Trek was to have an optimistic, what do you call it? Something that you aspire to.
You mean like Kamala Harris wanted to bring joy to the presidential election, and that didn't last for the whole campaign. You do find that there's this kind cynical. I know, I'm getting very cynical now. It's just, I find when people say they want to bring joy to this, what did RTD? RTD did a version of Kamala Harris because he said,
Brendan, they want to bring the right kind of joy.
Yes, he said the world's in a dark place and people are struggling, so Doctor Who needs to bring. And I'm thinking, no. Doctor Who just needs to be well written. There's no agenda. Christopher H. Bidmead wasn't sitting there going, do you know what? There's unemployment in Britain and Mrs. Thatcher's running amok, so I need to write Logopolis. Stop it. Just stop it. Just write some good Doctor Who. Distraction is the best detox possible. That you still have to face whether you're jobless or not. You still have to face all the things that are out that door, but you've enjoyed 4 episodes of brilliant Doctor Who. They're missing the very obvious unique selling point of Doctor Who, the escapism element. Now, Boomer Doug, as everybody knows, has been on our detox. Now, he's given the answer there. I've not said it out loud, but there it is. That's exactly why I'm not here with you guys. I can't get excited about Doctor Who anymore. I never, ever thought I would say that. I've watched for the whole 61 years. That's a shame, isn't it? They're losing.
Come back anyway, Doug. We love you.
Yeah.
He'll tell us.
Also saying at the beginning of the stream that, he misses being with us. I was like, Doug, you've been in the chat every week.
Yeah, and he'll tell us the real reason soon. It's just, but anyway, Raymond Williams, good to see you. Whereas Matt Smith had a physical oddity about him. Oh yes, and like I said, I was watching the Vincent and the Doctor. His gangly style, it's gosh, it was stunning to watch, I have to say. And then because we're doing the mental health representation chat, a lot of people have said he has all the appearances, the 11th Doctor, of possibly Asperger's or something like that. Now, labels are dangerous, but I know what they mean. As well as being a fantastic actor and playing the Doctor as a 2,000-year-old trapped in a young man's body, that grabbed people's attention. I was just beguiled by his face and his movements, the amount of acting going on. And it reminds me of how everybody... I say me, at the time when Peter Davison seemed so bland compared to Tom Baker. But when you watch Peter Davison now, there's so much going on. And you watch Matt Smith and you're going, yeah, I know. You watch Matt Smith and you're thinking, oh my God, he gets a page of script and he's going, I do that with my hand. I do this with my leg. I do this. I do that. Oh my God. Unbelievable. And then we just get shouted.
TMI, Doug.
Sorry,
he's just said in the chat that he's there in his underpants. So I just said TMI.
Yes,
something I didn't need to know, mate.
What is going on here? So let's carry this ship a bit forward. Vox pops in the vortex. Now, this is when fans have said various things, and I want to get the opinions of everybody fast because it's nice and bouncy and tasty. So here we go with the Vox pops in the vortex. Okay, so what's the first kind of opinion out there? I'll show you this, lads. I can't decide what's out there, really. I've said it before and I'll say it again. Rories of the Deep isn't that bad. While the production issues are very apparent, it's got a solid story underneath. Right, opinions, lads?
It's a great story and it's very suited to the time with that Cold War theme. So it works really well as far as that goes. So people who were watching it at that time would have been able to relate to it beautifully. The only issue with it is the Merca, surely. And some of the design and movement of the Silurians and Sea Devils. The Silurian voices are wrong. The flashing eyes wrong. The they move too slowly. That's a bit wrong.
And they
but
have all
apart from
the
that, I think
Silurians' names are female body parts.
female body parts.
Yeah,
What?
they have really weird. Those Silurians have really weird names in that episode.
Oh, as in like cervix? No,
Cervix
salvix.
and
Yeah.
salvix and
Trex. No,
clitoris.
well, I mean, they've been hibernating for a long time. It's just but
They have all gone soft in the head.
yes, I want to see Devil Babe now. I don't know. I mean, so yes, Warriors of the Deep.
I would take Warriors over the Deep over the modern Silurians anytime, because even though I said the design's a little bit different, it's a little bit different. It's not a different thing altogether. Is what we got in the new series. I've never understood why they changed the Silurians so much. Never understood that.
No,
they remind me of the
go to Warriors of the Deep anytime.
Silurians.
No, I mean, and I love the original Silurians, and I feel as though it was just before I started watching Doctor Who proper, so I feel as though I've missed out on them. And when they came back, I thought, that wasn't what I was looking forward to when I saw them in Warriors of the Deep. But the awakening of the Sea Devil Army, stuff like that, I that's Doctor Who to me. I love that. There's only Doctor Who that can get you all excited by pressing a big plastic button. Awake the Sea Devils. And they walk down those steps so slowly. I just, that to me is Doctor Who. Love it. And when they're in the Silurian kind of cruiser, and it was a bit stingray. I like the effects underwater. It was a bit stingray. That sea base was fab. The only thing is, let's say it now, was the sea base was too well lit.
It was also that the Ranger who played the what was it, the trainee guy. Yeah, it was like, surely they screened their like he went from perfectly fine to complete PTSD, mental health breakdown in about 2 seconds.
What was he called? A sink operator.
Yeah,
sink operator.
And he sank. He was
the other big problem with that was that Ingrid Pitt was always wearing an overcoat. I always had a big problem with that.
Yeah.
So I just have to go back to the Time Monster.
Yeah, and it's like they're doing that Shakespearean sort of stage acting where they're like, having really naughty conversations in plain view of everyone else around them, just over to the one side of the room.
Yes,
and it's just like these guys all look super shifty. You'd think that you'd be aware that you've got super shifty characters in your 5-person team.
I think this is why President Trump is asking people to go back to work, because when everyone's back at work, Dan, you can see people in the corner talking about you as the boss. Yeah. So I think that's quite right. Because
this is a perfect example, this story. It's a perfect example of classic Who, in that we can criticize it, we can see its faults, but we still go back, we rewatch it, and we love it. Right? Ultimately, at the end of the day, and despite its faults, we still go back and watch it, and we don't like it any less or hate it any more.
Yeah, because
it's it's wonderful.
Because it's still got touches. When I say touches, it's still got those Doctor Who moments that we all look forward to. There's reasons why we watch Doctor Who. I need a bit of monsters revealing themselves, or walking down some steps saying we're going to wake somebody up. My mum would look at me going, "Are you really into this?" And I'm going, "Yeah, they're waking up the Sea Devils. Don't you realize?" Now, if I had to say to both of you, can you pick a moment when you would say, yeah, but Warriors of the Deep has that moment, it's classic Doctor Who? What would it be?
The final line from the Fifth Doctor, there should have been another way, straight into the theme music.
Yeah. What about you, Dan?
No, I think it. I mean,
meeting.
What's that? Sorry.
They put the helmet on.
Oh, with the bad breath.
Yeah.
Look, that Merca scene, like that bit where they're fighting the Merca, is just so Doctor Who. It's like the resurrection of the Daleks battle scene.
Yeah.
As you could just see the ambition of them trying to pull off the impossible of trying to make that thing look real.
Do you know? And it's just one of those stories where, you know, like we say, sometimes you get in the old 70s ones, you get a dodgy CSO shot, but then you get a brilliant outside broadcast. In Warriors of the Deep, you've got that brilliant underwater action when it looked as though Peter Davison went flying over the railing, and you got that all that action. Then it looked like it was a proper miner's diving bell or something. You know, it's like the Sea Devils where you got proper metal. It wasn't a wobbly set. I loved that sequence. I watched that a lot. I love to see that stunt when it looks as though Peter Davison goes over into the water. Love that shot.
This is where if I was trying to do Doctor Who today, I'd actually lean into the camper, lower budget aspects of it and just like enjoy the fact, like come up with the story, but then lean into some shaky effects here and there. Do you know what I mean? Like not make it really crap, but just enjoy the fact that you're trying to do something. You're trying to make a $50 million masterpiece on a $1 million budget. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, I like the one-liners. I mean, when Doctor Who knows itself a little bit and, you know, or not another ventilation shaft or, you know, that, like you say, it's a nod to the fact that we're going to run down another corridor, aren't we? That's what we're going to do. And
but it's like, it's what I laugh about Boom, because it's like, you literally, the one thing you could have done well is go to a quarry, and you literally spent the episode inside the most expensive inside set you've made to make it look like a quarry, and yet it didn't really need it.
But you didn't see that once they'd finished Boom, that they had that brilliant set to do a kind of disco dance routine for all the staff afterwards. I think that's what it was there for. Okay, the next Vox from, I can't speak now. Vox pops from the vortex. It's my fault. Here's this one. Since 15 has returned the Doctor claiming that they're the last of the Time Lords, and it's also doing beings who are literal gods, I think the perfect finale villain for 15 is Omega, a Time Lord who thinks there should be a god. So, any thoughts on that one?
So they're the last of the Time Lords, or he's the last of the Time Lords?
Yeah, we've gone down that road again a bit, haven't we?
So that gives you an indication of where that person's coming from. No, I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen with the gods. I'm still putting my money on the Guardian of Chaos. I still think that's coming back.
Oh, God,
season
really?
15. Going to be the best thing ever. You just wait.
Of course. I didn't read your PR press release. Sorry.
Although I could see 15's ego keeping himself going in the singularity, you know, being in love with himself behind his big mask.
Yeah. Well, because he's such a crybaby in season 1, that moment in the Three Doctors when you had the singularity and the Doctor, you know, the Doctor say, "Oh, we have to be stuck here. Brigadier, you go on, you go," and Hollis, everybody goes first into it. I think the shooty Doctor would be in first, wouldn't he? I'm getting out of here. Yeah.
But in the Mindscape where they're wrestling with Omega.
Yeah.
Shooty's doctor. Can you imagine him in there? They'd stop and they'd look into each other's eyes, and their lips would head towards eeach other for a kiss, and then something would stop them.
Get it on.
That's how it'd be.
Yeah, you're getting me excited now. Yeah, you're making me think of that.
Yeah. Sorry, Brendan.
Sorry, you
got a big drive ahead of you. We can't have you that distracted.
Yeah, you get me extremely. I can't drive now. I'm out of control. So, so. The Omega doesn't seem to be grabbing your attention as much. Sorry, I tried. There you Vox pops in the vortex. What does everyone else think? Okay, try this one then. When you're unwell, when you're having one of those bad days, and as you know, I had the space plague a few weeks ago, coughing and spluttering. You know the score. When you're not 100% and you just want to watch an adventure from the comfort of the sofa and blanket, what would be your go-to Doctor Who story?
Silurians.
Would it?
Yep.
Is that like a is that like a kind of, you know what's going to happen, you like the monster, you like the story, you like the perchery. It's just, is it kind of, it just tick, 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 tick?
Before I even had a video recorder, the Silurians was one of the episodes I recorded onto cassette by holding a cassette player against the TV speaker.
Yeah.
And so I'd listen to that soundtrack over and over and over again. So it is very nostalgic, and it brings a lot of comfort to me.
It's
that
interesting.
Yeah.
It is interesting. I think it's the auditory thing, isn't it? Like you said, you recorded it, so you listened to it a lot, probably heard it more than you saw it. And
Yes.
And yes, when I audio recorded from Destiny of the Daleks onwards, there's moments, you know, the City of Death cliffhanger where it's all very camp, but it's dramatic. The music from Castrovalva and Logopolis, all that music, because when they were wheeling the Zero Room cabinet and in the wheelchair and all that stuff, there was a lot of music going on and not much kind of talk. The Fort of Doomsday, was it part 2 or part 3 when they were just doing Aboriginal dancing and lots of dancing, weren't they? And of course, your audio recording is going, this is rubbish, because all you could hear was music, and you couldn't see maybe Janet Fielding nodding to Peter Davison going, they're that way, you know. Yes, you suddenly have a different view of the stories, don't you? I hate Fort of Doomsday because of that, because it just seemed to be music that wasn't story. You know, when they were...
Okay.
We're getting entertained by some Aborigines. Thank you.
Well, that was one piece of music from the Doctor Who The Music album that was released. A lot of that series 18 and 19 music was on that. And the Fort of Doomsday soundtrack was one that really appealed to me. So whenever I watch it, I remember listening to that album, and that gives me good feels, as opposed to you, which gives you bad feels.
Yeah, you basically go, oh no, because they were selling Fort of Doomsday as this great sci-fi, because it was, they had that, I don't know what you call it, that camera that followed them. You had the effect with the cricket ball. Yeah, it was all sci-fi. It was all war. And I remember, you know, you just get excited. There's certain stories, you like the sound of the synopsis, and it's just the delivery doesn't quite land it. And then the audio recording, which is all you're going to have in those days, that's all you thought you were going to have, was like, am I going to listen to all this? You know.
Is Crimpling the Bloom taking the piss there?
No, I Crimpling the Bloom, as you know, is my Doctor Who twin, so I understand him completely.
That would be my other one. If I was to watch a shorter episode, it would be Curse of Peladon. It's just amazing story that takes me right back.
Well, here we go. This is Talons of Wayne Cheyenne, either Planet of Evil or Pyramids of Mars. Well, hello. What you like is dark sets, a bit of gothic. That's what you want. Get that duvet. Carnival of Monsters or Talons of Wen Cheyenne. Yeah, I mean, we're talking quality here, aren't we? Let's have a look. Michael Q, I have Fort of Doomsday as a 7 out of 10. Overall, you do realize I've just been mentally scarred, Michael. That's all it is. It's from the audio record. That's what it is. I do need to give it another chance. Simon Anthony, the biggest problem with Ian Levine's reconstruction is the slow pacing. I know. Well, you see, this is it. He'd be asked before me if we were talking about what Joe Chapman said about opinions.
How does that work? How is it slow pacing? He's like doing it to the original like soundtrack of the show. It kind of is what it is, isn't it? It's not like he's...
Oh, I don't know. I haven't got enough minutes in the day to watch all these things, but I don't know. City of Death. Now, City of Death is fun. It's a fun watch. But again, with the audio recording, is it part 2 when there's a lot of Dudley Simpson music as they run around the city to show off that they had a budget? And you're going, come on. And of course, my part 1 audio recording, Dwayne, has Mitzi, the poodle of my gran, on it barking. Because I was at my gran and granddad's, mum and dad were on a cruise. And so I was ordering the family to be quiet for 25 minutes. My little brother's like, oh, and the dog started barking, and you know, like you think your world's ending.
Scaroth, help us!
Yeah, it's Mitzi the dog, you know, and you're thinking, oh God, that's forever. And actually now your memory's different. Not your memory, but you're glad you've got it. Because I can hear my gran, it's the only recording I've got, and you can hear their voice going shh and say something. You go, oh my God, I've got them recorded. It's really weird, isn't it, how this all happens? Did we get an answer off you, Dan, on what is your comfort blanket story?
I find that I find it's like choosing takeaway food. Whenever I go to like, I will choose to sit down with Doctor Who on those days, like you're saying, but I find that it comes to me, it's kind of like picking food off a menu. I just, that day I'll sort of browse the shelf and go, oh, today I feel like that.
Yeah. Sometimes I am getting not lazy. It's just because you're streaming and doing other stuff. I actually sometimes now think I'd like to watch that part 1, but I know I won't watch the rest of the story. I just want a nice Doctor Who part 1 when you just get into this new world and at the end there's a reveal.
It's funny. The other day I sat down. I wasn't feeling the best, and I'd watched Legopolis the other week, and then I'd watched Dwayne Yore's Sirens of Audio interview with Matthew Waterhouse. So my brain just went, I think it's time for Earthshock. And then I spent Earthshock thinking, do you know what? Adric could have got himself out of the end of this himself using what he learnt in Legopolis, working for the Master. He could have block transferred himself out of here.
Yeah. I mean,
you never know. He might have done in Big Finish.
Yes.
We should ask him.
There's a series there. Anthony Green, Talons, the Time Meddler. Genesis. They see Genesis of the Daleks because of the album. The truth is, yes, there's one that even if it's just one of those winter days and you can't control the telly because your mum and dad are watching something. So I'd put my record on and listen to the Genesis of the Daleks album, and I was transported away. As soon as that Time Lord says, "Here's the time ring, don't lose it," I'm away with it.
That's such a good. I've heard. I don't even know if I think it might have been you, Brendan, that said they butchered Genesis of the Daleks into that LP. Was that you?
Yeah.
I disagree. I think that's one of the best examples of editing ever. Genesis of the, and particularly with it's Tom Baker's narration.
Yes.
That gets me. I still remember he stepped from the TARDIS onto a bleak planet. Yeah. All around the ground was ravaged, no vegetation. And that was just brilliant. Because it's interesting because he steps from the TARDIS. The TARDIS doesn't appear on the TV series. So when I watched the TV episodes after listening to the album version first, that's my version of Genesis of the Daleks. So I always sort of feel a bit disappointed by the proper version.
I know what you mean. I know. I still think the editing's interesting, but the narration does glue it together nicely. I agree. Now, Joe Chapman, you see, this is the very point of, to me, Doctor Who nostalgia and everything. I don't want Doctor Who cancelled because it's wrapped up in all my childhood memories. And I really mean that. I want RTD just to pull it out the bag and get on with it. I don't want cancellation. So when Joe Chapman says, my parents fought all the time. Yeah. Doctor Who was one time a week. They stopped. We were all together. I mean, you're going to want Doctor Who to continue because that's a memory. That's an important moment. And I know what it's like, Joe. When your parents are arguing an awful lot and you just think, I want them to get on. I want happiness. Every kid wants a bit of happiness. And if Doctor Who was your moment, well, by God, you don't want RTD to drop a clanner now and ruin the blooming thing. This is... And as me, Dwayne, and Dan are saying, there's so many memories. Think of tiny episodes when you think, oh, I was there, I was doing that. My mum and dad can't remember going on this cruise to Norway, but I can tell them which weekend because it was City of Death, part 1. I'm like, bang, razor sharp on it because we're all very aware where we were for certain things. Go on, lads, give us a memory from your life where you can attach Doctor Who and a moment to a memory.
I think it's Horror of Fang Rock when I recorded it to beta cassette for the first time. It sort of, I set the timer, but it wasn't right at the start of the tape. And there was a video clip on the start of that tape. And it was, what was it? I think it was Big Audio Dynamite. a song from them. I think it was called E equals MC squared. Do you remember that song? The video clip for that always ran into Horror Fang Rock. So it did go right to the end. Then Horror Fang Rock would come on. That's right, because the timer was set on the video. So I got what was on before, and that's what it was. So I always associate E equals MC squared by Big Audio Dynamite with Horror Fang Rock.
Yeah.
And that whenever I hear that song, I think of Horror Fang Rock. It's that's a really ingrained memory, that one.
That's fab. The memory's an amazing thing. What are you thinking, Dan, then, of where you...
I think for me, like I have some really strange, like I can remember times in my life based on when I saw certain episodes, if that makes sense. So like I remember seeing Day of the Daleks on VHS in, I think it was 1989. And I remember the exact time. I can remember my parents, where I was living, being in the 3rd grade, my teacher, like all these things that just are all tied together with the fact that I remember going to school with that, having just seen that episode. It's just, it's funny how the mind works like that and just ties everything together, and you have a memory.
And while you've got all these, this web of memories and thoughts and smells and everything, I don't want anything to be unraveled. So that's why I say the Davros retcon, I just don't want it, anything where it impinges on. I know it doesn't change what Genesis of the Daleks looks like, but in a way, it's going to be in the back of my head now. Just let me enjoy the memory of where I was whenever. Anthony Green, I was literally in tears because the TV repairman, my dad used to work for Rediffusion. I wonder if it was our dad, was at our house, but didn't finish until after the final part of Genesis of the Daleks had finished. Oh my God. You missed Davros being shot.
My God.
You missed
that
the
would
Dalek
be terrible.
action. Oh my God.
I'd be crying too.
Yes, well, you've just watched 5 episodes over 5 weeks, and then suddenly the TV repairman's having a cup of tea going, if I fiddle this a bit more. Yeah, I remember.
This was literally, I was on holidays in high school in 1996 when this is the actual TV color, the Sunday Telegraph extra, that I was at my grandmother's house, and she literally had the TV guide there, and I stole the cover off it because it has the article for the 96 movie.
Yeah.
But it's just those things where you just like the thought of missing that, because you wait, there was that anticipation leading up to it. And I mean, by that stage, I don't think we even knew that we were going to get it on VHS anytime soon, but there's no way I would have missed it. Like the minute I found this, I took this, so I knew exactly what date I was going to have my whole schedule clear to watch this.
I mean, look at this, Mads Mackham. Comfort episode is Roberts of Death. Well, it's a good one anyway. I had very little to do with my gran, apart from the fact that she loved sci-fi. I remember watching this story with her. That, and when we watched Logan's Run. I mean, that you can't take that away. That's just fab. I've got a bad one, which is when I went to university, it was a blooming awful building, concrete building, so you couldn't get much TV reception. And it was the Trial of a Time Lord. And I mean, this was Lancaster University, which is 200 odd miles away from where we lived. So I was dropped off, your parents get tearful and then go back home, and I'm on my own. And all I was bothered about was, even before you're starting to make friends in your halls of residence, I was bothered about Saturday night, I can't get reception for Trial of a Time Lord. And I was piling up books and everything to try and get the reception, and I couldn't see a blooming thing. I remember Mum and Dad got back home, so they've done 3 hours one way, 3 hours back. My dad's a Rediffusion man, and I was just saying, I can't get reception. Dad got back in the car, and drove all the way back to university with the biggest aerial I've ever seen in my life. And you'd have to have it in the halls of residence corridor. I said, Dad, I can't use that. It's like everyone would be tripped. It would be a death trap. I had this enormous, it was bigger than me. Oh, Dad came all the way back to get me reception for Trial of a Time Lord at the mysterious planet.
Man,
That's
that's
so nice.
awesome. Yeah.
Parents.
Hey, who was the one who didn't get to see Genesis? Because what I want to know is, what did you like? How long was it before you got to see it in full? What did you do?
I bet he got the book next.
Oh man, that would have been killed.
You see, that plays with you because I think we've all been there when you've read the target book before you've seen one of the scenes. And actually, sometimes you've got a very special memory then of the target book. And, you know, like I read the Silurians and the Web Planet, the Zarbi. I love Bill Strutton's The Zarbi target book. Love it. Of course, I've got a bit more of an issue with the Web Planet on TV, but I love the story. It's a fantastic story. So I know it's such a blur. Boomer Doug here in his undies. I can't remember a time that Doctor Who wasn't there. Doctor Who reminds me of Christmas past annuals and Dalek costume. I scored my brothers. Yeah. Well, you see, I've got all the annuals. My Doctor Who annuals was always when my grandparents were signing the annual. So I've got the autographs, so to speak. It's like, it's all mixed up together, isn't it? So, here we go. Crimpling. I had the Genesis album on cassette, and it must have been made from Dalek. I can never say that. As one time I got it chewed up by the car's cassette player. Great length of tape. Oh my God. Yet it survived. How many of us, when the tape actually bust and you got sellotape and you tried just to make it as smooth as possible to save it?
I was great at that. I could do that.
I don't know if
I've done that so many times.
I don't know if this happens to you guys in the UK, Brendan, but it used to be really bad here in Australia with the heat, where if you left the cassette in the car on a hot day, sometimes it would literally melt. The actual cassette would melt and deform, and then it was all over Red Rover. You basically it was dead.
Oh my God. Yeah, maybe not as much in Britain. I know it can get hot in a car, but not as much.
But you could get another cassette casing and then take the tape out of it and put it into the other cassette casing that you had. You could do that.
I was a bit young. I probably just went, that's gone.
We became experts, me and Dwayne, I'm sure, at audio recordings. And did you ever, Dwayne, record off the telly and you only know at the end and all you could hear was the buzzing from the telly, you had gone too close or something? Oh, God. You know, and it just, all you get is, and I'm going, I did that with the 5 Faces of Doctor Who once. I tested it. I mean, I'm not stupid. I did test drives, but on one of the episodes, I don't know if it was the Crotons. Oh my God! All you get is this buzzing from the telly. I was too close. Disaster.
My end, I'd have more trouble with the off air recordings because my TV antenna was very sensitive and it had splits in it. So I would split a wire off that went into my bedroom to my little TV in my bedroom, and then the one in the family room. And if spider webs went round that join, it would make static on the TV. So I'd often have to go out and clean the spider webs off to get the TV right. But then we'd have a thunderstorm and the TV was sensitive. It would pick every time the lightning struck. You'd get flashes on the screen as well as flashes of static on the screen. So there's like the Armageddon factor was the worst one. It really was Armageddon because I'd have flashes of static all the way through that one. And I probably had spider webs on it too. It was, they were stressful times. That was season 15. It's interesting that in season 15, my timer, I went away with the family on a holiday and I set the timer for Image of the Fendal and the timer didn't work, believe it or not. So it was years until I saw Image of the Fendal, and I always wanted to like it. But of course, you fellas know how much I don't. I wanted to. I wanted to
hasn't
like
been able to give it a fair shot.
I think someone knew I wasn't going to like it and put me out of my misery.
The other killer,
Anyway.
and this happened with video recordings and also audio recordings. You know, like say your mum or your sister or somebody, it tended to be a girl, got the hairdryer out, and all of a sudden, all the ripples on the telly, it affected the reception. Or, of course, you got the noise on the tape.
A blender. That was the worst thing, a blender.
Yeah. Can everybody not hoover, speak, breathe? Can well, we were we all a bit too demanding as Doctor Who fans?
I mean, only for 25 minutes. Come on.
Yeah, and
it was
was
breath
like
for 25.
If you didn't get it, you weren't going to. I mean, that's the problem with a serialized show like Doctor Who. If you miss friggin' 25 minutes, you ruin the whole 4 weeks or 6 weeks of watching.
My biggest problem was, obviously, I was into Doctor Who. I was about 3, and it was that one when I said I was in hospital for Christmas. Now, in those days, the wards had about 30 kids in them, and I was miles away from this tiny telly in the distance, and it was the Green Death. And I was, the Green Death's on. But of course, there were 3 channels, and I'm not in charge of the telly. I'm a 3-year-old, and there's another 20-odd kids. And I remember this, oh my God, you know, and to the nurse, can you put BBC One on Doctor Who? And of course, you go, well, it all depends, you know, there's tea soon, and I need the Green Death. I'll have an asthma attack if you don't put the Green, you know, I mean, I remember all the trick. And yes, the whole ward had to watch the Green Death. Oh God, sorry. David Harding. I remember the day of the doctor because I spent the morning helping cleaning out my grandma's apartment. She was at the end of her life and was being moved. I know. It's bittersweet. You can't unravel the memory, but you've got it. You know, it helps work on it. Joe Chapman, remember how often at the end of a Doctor Who episode we were like, how the hell is he going to get out of this? Yeah. And the adrenaline rush was fantastic. I am insistent that you must have episodic. Dark Hall, good to see you. Love this channel. Well, I'm enjoying the chat. I mean, I think Doctor Who fans can do this for quite a while, I have to say. David Harding.
Delay gratification is very healthy for character development. So they say.
Well, I was just saying it earlier. I adore a good part one from classic era. It had everything about it because every so often you got a brand new story. In those days, you didn't know even the synopsis. There were no rumors. I was just sat in front of the telly. I dismissed all the family. Nobody's allowed to speak. I mean, you know, but you're there and it's like, what world are we going into now? Oh, I mean, and then you see a scaly hand at the end. Brilliant. That's all I need.
I really think it's time for the BBC to consider if the Disney deal's done and dusted, or if it's lost. I think it's lost, personally. If they're looking for another streamer, go with someone like Amazon or Netflix.
Yeah.
And then make the episodes 25 minutes, release them weekly, do it like they used to do in the old days, have proper cliffhangers, have decent length stories, not just 45-minute stories, and try it and see how it works. I think that would be a great thing to do. The format that we've got now is tired. It needs a rest. I've been one to say I think Doctor Who should go off for at least 10 years to have a proper rest, because I think that 10 years in the 90s was one of the best things that ever happened to Doctor Who. But
you just want audio to
if they want to keep it going, then change it completely and take it back to the format that used to work and make it weekly. Don't drop it all at once. Make it weekly. Yeah. They still do that with some shows. I just watched Outlander with my wife. She really loves that. I like it too. But you know, they were only showing one episode of that a week. They weren't dropping everything at once. So there's no reason things can't be dropped weekly on streaming.
Yeah,
and in 8 weeks' time, you can just binge watch the whole thing if that's how you want to do it.
Some people want to do that. Yeah. If it's me, I'll watch it every week and then I'll binge it again at the end if it's good. Yeah.
I think
And us Doctor Who fans, we tend to rewatch the same episode until the next one comes out as well. So
yeah. Oh, those
Yeah.
audio
if it's
recordings
good.
got blasted for 6 nights before the next one came on. Now, Prince Valium and the Restless Nights. Somebody said Crimpling said applause for my dad. I mean, it's a memory. It's authentic. The story about your dad and the TV aerial is one of the best Doctor Who related stories I've ever heard. I think I might have something in my eye. Do you know what? I adore my dad for that. My dad is the one, remember, who woke me up in the middle of the night and said, we're going to Longleat 83 when they said I couldn't go. Woke me up at about midnight and said, get ready. I said, what? We're going. I mean, these are memories you want to treasure. It's linked to your dad. It's linked to your mum. It's linked to family. And it's Doctor Who. I mean, I'm sorry, you can't go wrong, can you? Anthony Green, I still have this issue when recording an acoustic part of one of my songs and my wife decides to put the washing machine on. Yes, can everybody just not live? It's so selfish.
Yeah. How dare she?
um,
Who needs
Boomer,
clean clothes anyway?
Boomer Doug, who's had a shower, changed his undies, and he's still there. No, my son briefly enjoyed Doctor Who via Remembrance of the Daleks, so bought a 6-foot by 3-foot piece of particled board and painted a life size. And I think of the TARDIS front. He lost interest a week later. Oh, you tried. You tried. He'll have a memory of it, surely. I think it's cute when you see your parents try to do stuff for you and it may not land, but you actually secretly go, right. I loved it. I mean, yeah, come on. I mean, yeah. Right. Talons and Wayne Cheyenne. I remember wishing Saturday afternoons away. Yeah. Grandstand stop. Basil Brush shut up. Play away. Get away. Come on. Yes, I know. You wish your life away and then you're just in your element and then you're asking and begging to stay up for the rest of the night. Mad Macam, our video failed for first episode of Time Flight. Didn't watch until the tape came out. Davison is my go-to, so I was so excited, had beer and pizza ready, and bloody hell, what a disappointment. Well, yeah, takes all sorts.
I've got an interesting story about Time Flight.
Uh-huh.
I didn't see Time Flight for years. I missed it the first time around, and when I actually got to see it, Doctor Who was at that time being screened at 4:30 a.m. in the morning. In Australia. So I was recording episodes, but Time Flight was one I really wanted to see, but I fell asleep in not long into the episode, but I woke up with Khalid going shara sharam, and it was all sort of melded into a dream, and it was really a really surreal experience, I tell you.
Well, you doing that then reminds me of the Arabian Nights with the banana splits. Was it Shazam or something? And they always had a signature. So. I know. Please explain. Is that allowed to be seen Time Flight now? Because they're going about Wen Chai-an, but the Khalid is a bit interesting. Why did he need to pretend when he's in this other place with them plasmatrons or whatever they're called? Why did he need to be in disguise and then have a snotty nose? They always did that green or white gunge, didn't they? That kind of. Yeah. Anyway, Brendan. Yes, Neil, I know. Have you seen that Twilight Zone episode where the child terrorizes family and makes them do everything he demands? No, I must make notes. I must make notes on that. Prince Valium agrees with you, Dwayne. I mean, shocker. It needs a decade to rest.
No, it doesn't.
It does need a rethink.
There's always Big Finish in the meantime, Dan. There's plenty of that.
No, that just proves that we don't need it to rest. We just need more on screen.
Oh, look. I mean, this is it. There's Doctor Who memories, and then there's memories of Doctor Who paraphernalia. One of my greatest Doctor Who memories is not of the show. It's waking up on Christmas morning in the early 80s and opening my sister's gift, a homemade 13-foot long Doctor Who scarf. Wow. Yeah. I mean, yeah. Lovely, lovely. And now Prince Valium, now the Longleat story. I love your dad even more. Well, you're going to have to get in the queue. I know. One day I'll show him all these clips because I try and tell him, he doesn't listen, but I really mean it. I appreciate what he did. These are great memories. And I'm sure you've got loads, Dwayne, like that, where do you think your kids are enough? What are they into? Is it not Doctor Who? It's something else TV wise. What is it they go to nowadays?
What are they watching at the moment? My son loves all the Jurassic World cartoons. Is it Camp Cretaceous? And I think there's a new one that's sort of a sequel to Camp Cretaceous. But yeah, not sure what my daughter watches. That's a very bad parenting on my part, isn't it?
Right, yes, we're onto something.
I just put all the parental locks on and let it say go for your life.
Exactly.
There you go. Dwayne's not taking anyone to Longleat.
So he's a fan of one on the Vox on the Vox. We went on a right tangent then. Jeffrey says, so does anyone think this could be Skaro and meaning the Daleks are returning this year? I did think that, but is it too obvious that they show you that picture? I don't know. What did you think, lads?
Or is it Caldor City?
It's got the colouring of either Skaro or Gallifrey. So,
yes.
But it looks more Gallifrey when you look at it as a still shot like that. But as you on the trailer, it looks like I thought Skaro to start with, but maybe that's what they want you to think.
I think they're trying to trick us. Yeah. What about? Here we go. We are detoxers after all, right? On this day, you've got the Daleks, the ordeal. I know it's a 7-part story, but the Doctor is a prisoner in the Dalek city, blah, blah, blah. The Seeds of Death, part 1. You've just seen that colorized by some of those shots. Ark in Space, part 1. 4 to Doomsday, not with the Aboriginal dancing, part 3. Snake Dance, part 3. 4 to Doomsday, part 1. Excuse me, the part 1 doesn't exist there. You know, I should have taken that off. That's my fault. You can't have 2 parts on the same day, really.
I was going to say,
yeah. Brendan, you're having
especially one missing in the middle.
Timey-wimey, it's allowed. Anyway, so yes, it's part 3. So I apologize for that. That's me going a bit crazy. Right. So what would you pick, lads?
Ark in Space.
Now, is it for the story or for the actual episode 1?
No. Like out of all of those, don't like Snake Dance, don't like 4 to Doomsday. Yeah, I'd prefer Ark in Space. Part 1.
Okay, I'm not going to say anything yet.
Is this why are we picking these? Just as our favourites of
these are on this day in Doctor Who history as these were broadcast. So it's just, which one do you like the look of?
Well, just to be different, I'm going to go Seeds of Death. That was the first black and white episode I owned, actually. I bought that one. So it's got a very special place in my heart. So Seeds of Death.
Yes, I remember thinking, oh, God, you're going to get 6 episodes of Troughton. Wow. And then, of course, the drummer kicked in. And that the xylophone. Oh, God, I thought it was Patrick Moore or somebody. It's like somebody calm down those 2 musicians. Yeah. But yes.
Should have known Dwayne and pick a black and white one.
But I have to say, there's something about the Seeds of Death. T-Mat. And of course, you had a good female representation. Let's not forget that. I've forgotten the name, the character, but she was always there, I'll do this. I'm the T-Mat expert. And then, of course, I love that Doctor Who does this all the time. It's almost a cliche that old technology trumps new technology in some way. And of course, the rockets are back. T-Mat's useless. And of course, yes, it was my first seeing the Ice Lord, and then in that little kind of screen when he goes, we're gonna get you. And love that.
I actually did an audiobook reading of the first 5 chapters, I think 5 or 6 chapters of the Seeds of Death. You can find that on the Sirens of Audio channel. You can get my T-Mat voice, you can get my Ice Warriors voice, you can get my Doctor Jamie. Yeah.
What's your T-Mat voice then? T-Mat.
Yeah, I did put some special effect over the top of it as well. So just to make it a little bit more interesting. But I only did part of the book because at the time I started, I thought, where's some books that haven't been released on audio form yet? That was one of them. After I'd started it, the BBC announced that they were going to release that with David Troughton reading it. So his full version's out there. So, but I thought I'll release the bits that I did anyway.
Yeah. Oh, he's got such a good voice, Jamie.
Hey, do you guys remember what the Ark in Space Part 1 cliffhanger was?
It was the Wirren falling out of the cupboard, wasn't it?
Yes.
Ah, yeah, that's it. Yeah.
Yes, and that's a hell of a shot. That's a
That's a
hell
good
of a
look.
cliffhanger for a little kid. Sarah Jane had already had she been woozy and disappeared, I think. Had she gone into the other room?
She'd been put in suspended animation.
I mean, it was so exciting, the Ark in Space Part 1, because you had him and Harry and the light, the security system, and, you know, it's great stuff. I mean, let's face it, that was play school. They've got a plastic table and they're moving the desk around the room and they're hiding underneath, but it was great because you said that laser doesn't like fibre. Whoa, because we could see. And, of course, we were all warming to Tom Baker then. Oh, thinking, wow, he's good. I like him. Who's John Pertwee? I've forgotten who he is. And it was a good team, wasn't it? Harry, Sarah, and the fourth Doctor. What a team!
And Ian Marter wrote the target novel of that, didn't he? It was such a good book.
He did some
Such
good
an
ones. I like
amazing
this
book.
Sometime an Experiment as well. I think he wrote that as well, didn't he? I think he wrote a fair. Yeah, I know. Lovely. Crimpling, my Doctor Who twin, The Seeds of Death dragged on VHS by having had its credits edited out, making it one drawn-out movie. It works so much better seen episodically. Episodes of the future. I'm just saying that, you know, if he wants to talk to Whovians, RTD. Raymond.
I think so.
Ark in Space Part 1, Dr. Harry and Sarah. Yeah, I took the words out of my mouth. So there you go. There you go. That was the week that was. That was the week that was woke tonight at 7 p.m. Me and Rachel. On Sunday at 6 p.m. you will find Terror of the Autons because I'm away this weekend. And later on that, an edited package of Phil Morris on Good Form. What's happening on your channel, Sirens of Audio, Dwayne?
Tonight in the UK, what day is it? It's Friday, isn't it? So yeah, tonight, 6 p.m. Our new episode is dropping. We're talking with 8th Doctor companion Kerez, who, Dan, he was name checked in Night of the Doctor, so he is canon. Thank you very much. We had Conrad Westmass, the actor who played him on the podcast, and sharing that interview, talking about his last appearance on Big Finish, where he does an Adric style death to leave the series. So all about that.
Yes, he wouldn't have survived. He wouldn't have survived the burn injuries, Adric. That it was. Oh,
that's right. That's right.
Is that what
now I know what you're doing.
Can you call it an appearance in a Big Finish audio, though?
Yes.
Now, Dan, are you streaming? You know, everybody I know is streams here and there. I don't know if the stream. I mean, I know that you can stream if you have hay fever, but that's a different type of streaming. But are you streaming by any chance?
No, I've thought of. I'd like to do an RTD era in color. I'm thinking about doing a 90-minute edit of the RTD era with all the boring bits edited out, and just with improvements and remastering. I'm going to bring elements from the classic seasons into it so that we can just improve the RTD era with using classic Who soundtracks
and put it in black and white.
Put it in black and white.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Let's uncolorize all of New Who.
all the boring plot stuff edited out, and just only the messaging.
Yeah, well, there's something in that. Oh, look, everybody. I mean, people are still joining us now. We could go on forever, but you know, there's plenty of streams out there. Good to see you, New Who hater. Good to see Farsight and Prince Valium. Gosh, it's been live.
How much better would Rise of the Cybermen be with the Earthshot Cybermen theme over the top? That'd be so much better.
Yeah, how much better would some of this? Oh.
It was made for it, you know.
Yeah,
we always knew it was.
Could Space Babies be saved by Troughton being in it, or Tom Baker?
I'll just we should just re-edit the cyber controller with a few more excellence as well. We need to bring excellent back into the New Who.
Excellent.
We need to fix that. There's a serious deficit of excellent.
Yes, I'll just get Gabriel.
Actually, Space Babies could definitely be edited down to a 60-second YouTube short.
Yes.
I reckon that'd work perfectly.
Yes, and you'd be technical. It wouldn't be called a short. It would be called a fart. And that's all you'd need. Is a
I'm
little
pretty sure
fart.
there's a Red Dwarf episode that basically carries the plot of Space Babies.
Basically. Oh, look at these. This is it. Do you know what, Dwayne and Dan? Do you know what the thread are doing now? This is a bit when you were kids and it was Saturday night and it was time for bed and you kept talking and distracted your parents from actually, sending you to bed. This is what they're doing, I can tell. So David Harding put cliffhangers into the new series, make it black and white, and fix the canon so it matches up with Classic Who. He knows he's triggering me, so we stay a few more seconds. I know what they're doing.
25-minute episodes, I agree. You can have the character development, but, it's more digestible for the modern audience.
Yeah. Everybody in the
You know what figures I'm more interested in than I'm more interested in some figures other than the viewing figures and AI and whatever for the current series. I'm interested in what the figures are for sales figures for the Series 7 Blu-rays compared to Shooty's Season 1 Blu-rays. I'd like to see that comparison. That would be quite interesting, I think.
Oh, I bet that's very good.
Have we got a poll here amongst us who's pre-ordered Season 7 versus Season 1?
Yep.
I've done Season 7.
Yep.
Season 7, not Season 1.
Oh,
Season
yes.
7, so.
We're definitely... So there you go. The passion's there. You lot in the threads, get to bed. Sorry, pajamas, that's it. You're having no bath tonight. Straight to bed. We've kept you up. That's it. No more. We've tried our best. So, thanks, lads. That was the detox that was. Do you feel any detox?
Good to see you make it slightly shorter too, Brendan.
Oh, yeah. I said it would be really short today, yeah. I always call it the detox hour. There's an irony there now, isn't there? So thanks.
We'll have to edit it down to 60 seconds.
Yeah. You want to try and edit down Philip Morris? He was good value. Good lad. Anyway, everybody.
His tidbit on the Daleks was pretty good.
Well, yeah. I mean, he was giving me a good value, trying to get him on again. Okay, then, everybody. Have a good night in Australia. Thanks for joining us. Been a pleasure. Bye for now.
Bye.
Thanks for joining us. See you later. Bye.